Hi, welcome back. My name is John Muckow. I appreciate you joining me for this second tip in a series of 2 on working with NetBeans. What I want to show you in this example is an application that I wrote called Tune. And Tune is a Java application created inside of NetBeans that sends AppleScript commands to the iTunes player. The best way to get a feel for this is to just let me run through a short demonstration. When I hit enter here, it's going to tell the iTunes player to choose a random song. From there, once that song is running, I'll run through a couple different commands. So let's show you how it works. We can also say tune next to choose the next song in the library. Let's try tune by itself one more time to choose a different random song. We can also say tune pause. And of course, if we pause, we also need the option to be able to tell the iTunes player to start up again. And finally, tune quit. So if you hang with me, I'll show you how to write this code inside of NetBeans. Let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do to get started is to create a new project inside of NetBeans. We can do that by clicking this icon right here in the upper left corner called New Project. From within the dialog box that comes up, I'm going to choose Java category, Java application, and click Next. And then what I want to do is I'm going to call this random tune. And let's go down here and change this. We're actually going to make a few changes to the code as far as the template, but let's go ahead and put random tune in there for now and click Finish. Inside of here, I want to clear out the code that's there and insert the reference to this one import statement. And you'll notice we get an error here, and that's because this package does not exist. These are the class files that we need to communicate with the Apple event system. And the way we can fix this problem is I did a right click on there. I'm going to scroll down and choose Properties. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a reference to a compile time library. And we do that by clicking on Libraries, saying Add a new jar/folder. And from the root of my drive, I want to choose the System folder, click Library, and then choose Java. And from there, click OK. And if all is well, you'll see that that's now changed. It's no longer an error. The first class that I want to insert is a class by the name of TuneBox. And TuneBox is going to hold the code that's going to actually pass our AppleScript commands to the Apple event system. The first method that I want to put in here is essentially an exact copy of the method that we used before. It's called runScript, and you'll see that runScript accepts a string as a parameter. And then what it does, it uses these classes, NS AppleScript and Mutable Dictionary, that are provided inside of this foundation. In other words, these are Cocoa libraries that are provided for us that actually pass our information and handle information coming back from the Apple event system. So here's how we actually create a new object to an NS AppleScript. Here's where we actually execute our AppleScript command, and then this is how we display error messages to the console. The code that I need to write next are the actual methods that will pass AppleScript commands to the Apple event system. Now don't blink as I do these. I'm going to insert these in small chunks, and if you blink you'll miss all the fun. So there we go. So there's the first block of code. I want to insert a command called pause, and this is nothing more than telling the application iTunes to pause. Likewise, here's the command for play. Tell application iTunes to play. 2 additional commands that we want to tell iTunes are to play the next song, so tell application iTunes to play the next track, and then of course we need to quit, so we're going to tell applications iTunes to quit. The last one that we want to insert is how we're going to tell iTunes to play a random song. Let me show you how this is going to work. So inside of the script editor, I wrote a few lines of AppleScript. Here's what it looks like. It says tell the application iTunes to set song, essentially a variable, to some track of playlist library. So what this is doing is it's getting a random track from the library and storing that in this variable called song. And the next thing it does is says play that song. So let me show you what that's going to look like inside of our Java code. So let me go ahead and paste in one final block of code inside of this method, and here's what it looks like. I'm going to put in a few extra carriage returns so I can scroll that up and show you the code inside of iTunes as well. So you can tell here's the identical code inside of here with the exception of anytime we have an embedded string, you'll notice we need to use a backslash to escape that. So we're telling application iTunes, this is how we represent a new line. So to set the variable called song to some track with the playlist, again, we need to escape the string. And as you'll see here, I also have a new line there. Play the song, new line, and then end the tell statement. Now that we've completed that class, what I want to do is insert the only other class that we need. And let me show you what that's going to look like. So let's go ahead and clean up this code a little bit. Get rid of some of these new lines that I put in there. And now I'm going to insert a class called randomTune, and it's got just one method called main. And you'll notice here, here's the arguments that are going to be passed in on the command line. So the idea of this application is it's going to read the command line arguments. If there are none, it'll play a random tune. And if there is a command line argument, what it's going to do is it's going to look at what each one of those arguments are, and it's going to call one of the methods up here inside of this TuneBox class. So the first thing I need to do inside of here is I need to create a reference to our TuneBox, and we're going to do that as follows. Create a new TuneBox. And now that we have this reference to this new object, all I'm going to do from this point is I'm going to say if the argument length is 0, then play a random song. All the other arguments are going to be nothing more than references to the different commands that can come in on the command line, and then it's going to call the appropriate method inside of our tune object. So if pause was on the command line, call pause, etc., all the way down through this list. There's one more piece of information that we need to get from NetBeans before we go ahead and write our script in Bash. So if you do a right click on the project Random Tune, go to the bottom and choose Properties, the information that we're looking for is the project folder. So I'm going to go ahead and save this path. I can cancel that dialog. And the next thing we need to do is open up our .bash profile file. So let me go ahead and show you the full path to the .bash profile file. So off of the root in the users directory under your name, the file .bash profile can be found. Now notice there's a period in the front, so that means it's a hidden file. You can change the options or the Finder preferences such that all hidden files are shown, and you may have to go back and configure that if that's not the case. In other words, if you can't find this file in that directory. Once I'm inside of this file, here's the path that I copied from NetBeans, and notice what I can do in the front of here is use the short notation for the home directory. So if I just go ahead and replace that, you'll notice that that's the same reference right here down inside of our function. So here's what's happening inside of here. There's a function inside of this profile file called tune. And inside of here, what I'm doing is I'm pushing the current directory, so I'm saving the current directory, whatever that is. I'm going to change to the location where our class files are stored, where NetBeans put them. And then I'm going to redirect the output to the null device, so you won't see the results of this change directory command on the output. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run Java, referencing the class path to where it can find these are the foundation classes from Cocoa. Here's the reference to our class file that we just created inside of NetBeans. And then here is the reference to the command line parameter. Once that's done, the last thing I'm going to do is pop the current directory off of the stack, so we'll be back right where we started. And that's all there is to it. So let's show you how this runs one last time inside of a terminal. So if we click on Tune, we hit enter, it'll start up a random song. And away we go. Hope you found this information helpful, and we'll see you soon in the next video.